So Dave, we're here at Handley Archives, and this is where you volunteer some of your time, not only here, but with our department.
Yes.
And we really appreciate you having us and shutting the place down. I can't, I feel very special to have this to ourselves this morning. So thank you. And, the last time that we talked, I gave you a task of helping me out. And because, what I found is that looking at this case, it's, from 1975, there's, of course, not much available online. And there was nothing available online for me to research. And, of course, that's how we do our research today.
Right.
So, of course, other way that research is done, and that's what you've done for us. So if you can share some of what you have for me.
Well, we have newspapers, Winchester Stars, that go back to the 1890s. And so that's where I got the information that I've got for you today. I just went back and took the dates that you gave me and started going through the microfilm and found quite a bit of information. I was surprised.
Great.
And it was interesting the way they reported things back then.
Right.
Nothing like today. Not as in depth.
Right. And a lot of it is out of respect for the families and their privacy.
Yes.
And, that's something in today's media that we unfortunately don't see as much of. So, but I'm hoping that this will help build on the case file that we have, because in there I only located one article. Mm-hmm. And so I'm hoping this will help give us
some interesting things. Of course, the first thing that I found was her obituary, and it was very short for Ump's funeral home.
Okay.
The next thing I found was, and this was a little hard to find, but the dates you gave me helped a lot.
Right.
This was an article, and it started out, petitions filed against juvenile includes an assault. And it starts talking about a 16-year-old male, and then down here it says in other activity. Then they started talking about Mrs. Robinson.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. And then what is that? So the date on this one
That's the date of the newspaper article.
Okay, so this is 2 days after the incident happened. And
Yes.
what I have learned since we talked is, so the date of the robbery was November 11th. And her son recalled that was actually on a Tuesday. And that was, 45 years, and he still remembers that it was a Tuesday. And then she didn't pass until that Saturday. So this is actually 2 days after the robbery occurred. And it's interesting that it's listed in other activity. I mean, this,
Yes.
to me, and I guess it comes back to the way that they reported them, this would be something that would be the front page news today.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
It would. This article was actually the day before, and it has cause of injuries is probed, and it in fact gives some information about the evidence.
Okay.
Her purse.
Okay. Right, and that's something too that the family told me that they knew immediately, and I wasn't sure if that was known or not.
There's not much else in the newspaper from
Okay.
November of 75
Okay.
until February of 76.
So this is February of 1976. At this time, they said that the handbag had not been located. And we
Right.
know a short time after this that it actually does get located. But they actually picture it,
Yes.
one similar in the paper itself. And it has some interesting, so there's some witness information in here that we'll be able to take a look at a little bit more.
And this is, the rest of the article was all one
Okay.
page.
Okay.
So now we got a picture of
I
the
think
police
that's going
officer.
to be, Edmondson, I believe, is who was the primary officer on
Okay.
that case. And I think I have a picture similar to that one. So those were probably, Winchester police photos.
Yes.
So I think I do have copies
Okay.
of those.
1976 as well, February 14th.
Okay.
and it indicates that the star column helped locate the missing clue.
How about that? I was wondering, because so when you showed me this first one, I was like, wait, this has got to be around the date that the purse was found. So this was featured, the purse wasn't found, and now we have 3 days later that it's been found, and of course the Star is saying that this feature likely helped. Interesting. Does it say who called in? Because that's what I couldn't find in the case file, is something that indicated who called in, locating the purse.
Here, this goes with this.
Oh, here it is, right here. So it says that Harry Akins of H&W Construction was cleaning the gutters on the roof of North Cameron Street at approximately 9:30 a.m. when he found a woman's handbag on the roof. And I wondered that, because I was like, how in the world would anyone locate a purse on top of the roof? Like, how many buildings
wouldn't.
around Winchester or anywhere people are, on top of?
And I'm not sure, but I think that alley that runs behind where it was found, I think it's actually almost at roof level.
Right.
You'd almost have to go up there and look at it to tell.
Right.
But
So it says, though, let's see, yesterday when he told the Star that he thought nothing special about the pocketbook, but when he returned to his office, his secretary, Mrs. Mary Willis, recognized it. The picture of the pocketbook from the paper flashed in my mind, Mrs. Willis said. If I hadn't seen it in the paper, I wouldn't have remembered her name. That's wonderful.
Unsolved Murders. This was 1977,
Okay,
and this is the article.
right.
And it came out, it said Unsolved Murders, Part 4, Robinson, and then said robbery was a motive.
Right. So that one's listed at the very top.
Yeah.
And how many are they featuring in this article?
That was the only one they.
That was the only,
that
okay,
was the only
that's
one.
right,
And
because it was
this
one
is-
in the, that's right, it was
yeah.
one in a series of unsolved murders in the area. Of course, this one being the only one in the city of Winchester at that time.
Yes, it was. And this is the rest of the article.
Okay.
Continued on the next page.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was interesting researching this because I didn't know anything about this.
Right.
And when I was younger, I lived right around the corner on Fairmont Avenue, so
Right.
I was familiar with the neighborhood. And I was in the rescue squad at the time, but I don't remember
Anyone talking about
anyone
this?
talking about it. No.
Yeah. When I was talking with the family yesterday, that was one of the sad parts of this is, when they arrived at the hospital, she was actually, I don't want to say the word alert because she wasn't. They said she was acting very confused, but she was still able to talk when they arrived at the hospital. And so I didn't have that understanding before. And then, things just continued to spiral down at that point until she passed. But it's a very sad incident. And, it is one of those cases that just hasn't been talked about.
No, after this article, I continued to look through some more of the microfilm, and I couldn't find any further mention of it
Right.
after.
And then how if, and I would be interested in seeing, like, around this time frame, what other, maybe these things weren't reported on. I know that any robbery that we have is typically reported on today. I'm not sure if they would report on it, but I'm curious as to if you could research any other robberies that were occurring around that time frame, maybe during that year. Is that something that you would be able to do? Okay. Can you kind of walk us through the process of how you go about this?
Well, in answer to your question, there were, on November the 21st of this year, that she passed away. On the 17th, there were 3 purse snatchings in the city.
When was that?
Around the same time as her
as when this is
attack.
getting
Yes,
reported on.
Yes.
So this happens on the 11th, and then those
They're
happen.
the 21st.
Okay. And
Okay.
see, you know, our database doesn't go back that, so there is no way for me to research incidents occurring during that time. So how did you get that information?
Microfilm.
Okay.
I just started, like I say, I looked even further into the microfilm, and there were very short paragraph that, you know, there was a number of purse snatchings.
Okay. Yeah, and I know that purse snatchings were a lot more common then, because today we deal with fraud. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of what occurs is, you know, the way people, you know, fund their addictions, or is through oftentimes fraud or nonviolent ways. And of course then, you know, fraud wasn't like it is today.
Right.
So there were a lot more purse snatchings that were occurring then. I'm aware of that, but it's just interesting that, you know, within a week that they're reporting 3 additional. So I'm hoping maybe that can help us out. So,
I hope.
all right, so let's, we'll go on over to the microfilm and take a look.
Okay,
Okay.
sure.